Whether you're a car person or not, if you watched the Super Bowl 59 halftime show, you may have wondered why Kendrick Lamar had a car on stage. Us car wonks wondered, of all cars, why a 1987 Buick GNX? Kendrick Lamar wasn't paid for his performance during halftime of the biggest of all football games, although he hardly did the show for free. He was promoting his latest album, GNX. The title track on the album, a celebration of West Coast rap, a commentary on the hip-hop niche of music, and a testament to Kendrick's resilience and triumph. Hey, between us, I'm working on my album, which I'm going to name after my car, although I don't think RAV4 nearly as catchy or mysterious sounding as GNX. The Buick GNX, an acronym for Grand National Experimental, is special to Kendrick because his father had a 1987 Buick Regal, the car the GNX is based on. Kendrick bought his GNX in March of 2024 and made sure the car was one of only 547 that Buick made in 1987. In fact, it's the 191st GNX built and had under 10,000 miles on it when he reportedly paid $189,000 for it.
All I ever wanted was a black Grand National.
GNX is sold new in 1987 for around $29,000. Big bucks back in the day for what was ostensibly a Buick Regal. Who could have imagined that back in the day, one of these would be featured on the world's most grand stage? I, for one, didn't. Then again, what people see in these cars has always eluded me, although their history is fairly interesting. What made the Buick GNX and Grand National special, along with their predecessors, the Regal T-Type, Regal Turbo T, and the granddaddy of them all, the Regal Sport Coupe, was its turbo 3.8-liter V6 engine. Or is that turbo 3.8 Litre, or Litre V-6 engine? What is a turbo anyway? It's a term that's been around seemingly forever and has come to mean all things powerful and fast, as well as being a character in a 90s Christmas movie and a powerful, fast-acting laxative
for fast, effective relief.
Put simply, a turbocharger is a compressor that forces additional air into an engine to make it more powerful. Turbochargers were first used on aircraft engines to improve their performance at higher altitudes where the air is thinner. They were used on locomotives in the 1920s and trucks in the 1930s. While turbochargers are commonplace on cars today, years ago automobile manufacturers were hesitant to use them since it was more cost-effective to build larger engines than improve the performance of smaller ones. The first cars to feature a turbo were the 1960-69 Chevrolet Corvair and 1962 and 63 Oldsmobile Jetfire. If anything, they were a novelty, and GM got out of the turbo business after 1969. At least for a little while. The 1973 energy crisis forced General Motors to develop smaller, more fuel-efficient engines. Problem was, those smaller, more fuel-efficient engines weren't very powerful. The solution? Turbocharging. Buick introduced their first turbo 3.8-liter engines for sale in 1978, and by 1979 had stuffed them into 4 different models: the Regal, Century, LeSabre, and even the Riviera. Every year, it seemed Buick would tweak the engine, increasing its power from at most 175 horsepower in 1978, which wasn't bad in its day, to 245 by 1987. All good things must come to an end, though, and model year 1987 was not only the last year for the class of 1978 Buick Regal, but for all GM midsize cars of that era, as new front-wheel drive cars debuted for 1988. Buick sent the turbo Buicks out with a bang, sending 547 Grand Nationals to American Sunroof Corporation and McLaren Engineering, who sliced, diced, poked, prodded, and kneaded the cars into mighty GNXs. McLaren made a number of modifications to Buick's turbo 3.8-liter that helped it make an advertised 276 horsepower, although most believe that number was well north of 300. Contemporary car reviewers pegged the GNX 0 to 60 at 4.7 seconds, making it, for a nanosecond, the fastest accelerating car in the world. While critics loved the performance of the turbo engine, they slammed the car for its sloppy handling, creaky suspension, and sloppy build quality. Car and Driver magazine going so far as to say that this much engine deserved a better car. Having come of age when the GNX was in showrooms, much like many automobile writers at the time, I didn't see what the commotion was all about. Sure, the GNX was fast and cool-looking, but that was about it. And going from point A to B quickly gets old if a car can't zig as well as zag effectively. The aftermarket tuners tried their best to batten down the car's wobbly suspension, but there was only so much they could do. Top speed was limited to 124 miles per hour to prohibit the car from taking off like a kite. The GNX being elevated to icon status is somewhat vexing. Then again, I've never been a fan of GM's 1978 to 87 intermediates. And taste being like opinions, as we say, is like armpits. We all have them, and you know. Well, if they don't align with our opinion. Pop quiz, kids. What team won Super Bowl 59, and what was the final score? Don't Google it. If you said the Philadelphia Eagles and 40-22, I'll stick a turbo 3.8-liter feather in your cap. You did good.